Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Marie Holiday, and today is November the 10th, 2020, Tuesday. And before we get started, I just want to remind my viewers and subscribers and potential subscribers, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so and hit that notification button and also pass this information along. So with that being said, let's get down to the next lecture. The focus of this lecture is going to be Thinking Patterns Part 2. Thinking Patterns Part 2. Like of time perspective. I'm going to introduce one thinking pattern for lecture 2, like of time perspective. But first of all, there are many types of thinking patterns we use, such as victim stance, good person stance, unique person stance, and selected effort. That's just a quick review. Please review my prior video lecture on thinking patterns that I uploaded yesterday. However, there is one particular thinking pattern that deserves its own slot, which is like of time perspective. So what do I mean by like of time perspective? First of all thinking patterns are the type of thoughts that say it is okay to violate others or their property, such as vandalizing, stealing, using someone's car or personal items without permission. Studies have shown that the decision to commit most criminal offenses occur within 10 minutes of the crime itself. The criminal offense could be driving over the speed limit, stealing, destruction of property, breaking into someone's home, or any type of criminal offense. An offender or anybody may think about committing a crime for a long time without acting on it. Then sometimes, or maybe one day, they may decide at the spur of the moment and commit the crime. So I'm just sharing with the audience a more richer and deeper and fuller description on the word thinking pattern. So again, more information about thinking patterns is thinking patterns are what allow the person to indulge in thoughts of crime or doing something they know is wrong, and then suddenly act on those thoughts. Thinking patterns are not just exclusively for offenders or criminals. Everybody in the world uses some form of thinking pattern. So that's why I really do encourage the audience to take a look at my first upload where I go into brevity on talking about the other different types of thinking patterns, such as victim stance, good person stance, unique person stance, and selected effort. But the focus of this lecture is I got to share with the audience in detail and in brevity in terms of what do I mean by the thinking pattern of like of time perspective. Well, I'm going to break it down to you. Like of time perspective, and the reason why I reserve this a slot all by itself, has 3 parts to this particular type of thinking patterns. Like a time perspective has 3 parts. Number one is you do not learn from past experience. That's the first part. Number 2, you believe in instant gratification. Number 3, you have tunnel vision. Only focus on what is in front of you and the easiest way to get it, rather than seeing the whole range of options available. You do not look at the whole range of options in order to achieve a goal. So those are the 3 components that define the word like a time perspective. So what I mean by you do not learn from past experience, if I kind of elaborate on that first one, you do not learn from past experience, meaning you do not think about the future. You see behaviors as isolated incidents and you do not clearly grasp the idea of cause and effect when we're talking about you do not learn from past experience, which means that when you do A, which is the cause, then B, which is the effect, happens. Therefore, you are likely to think this time will be different and indulge in the same thoughts and repeat the same behavior that has failed you before. Let me go in brevity on the second part of you believe in instant gratification. You believe in instant gratification of desires. Your philosophy is, I want it now. You expect others to act on your demands immediately, and you tend to be impulsive in most areas of your life. That is the second component of the description of lack of time perspective. And then the third component, do not look at the whole range of options to achieve a goal. For example, you expect to be a big success with only minimum effort and preparation. And you fantasize constantly about making it big, making those billions, making those trillions, being a superstar, the next celebrity, the next YouTube celebrity. You do not set achievable goals or make realistic plans. You often base your decisions on whims and assumptions that are rarely supported by factual information. You make choices based on what you want to be true rather than what is true. So those are the three components of the description of lack of time perspective, which is a thinking pattern. So now you know what lack of time perspective is in terms of a thinking pattern. Again, it consists of three elements. Number one, you do not learn from your past experiences. Number two, you believe in instant gratification. And number three, you have tunnel vision. Only focus on what is in front of you and the easiest way to get it rather than seeing the whole ranges of options available. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, everybody on the planet use all these different types of thinking patterns. And check out my other video where I go into detail about the specific thinking pattern of victim stance, good person stance, unique person stance, and selected effort. And I have just shared the world on giving you understanding on the other thinking pattern, which is lack of time perspective. We all use these thinking patterns based on the situations we in. I don't care who you are. Everybody on the planet use different types of thinking patterns. So with that being said, that's all I have. Simplify. And ladies and gentlemen, you all have a great evening. Talk to you next time.